Welcome to another episode of Books and Bytes.
Today we're diving deep into Tony Robbins' influential work, Awaken the Giant Within.
Right. This book, it's really served as a guide for countless people, hasn't it? People looking to understand and harness their personal power.
Exactly. For creating significant, lasting change in their lives.
And our aim in this deep dive is really to explore the essential elements, the framework he lays out.
Yes, extracting those core insights and, importantly, the actionable knowledge.
So you, our listener, can get a really comprehensive understanding of these powerful concepts quickly.
Awaken the Giant Within really taps into something fundamental, I think. That desire we all have to, reach our full potential. Robbins starts with this powerful theme, this idea of an unlimited power that lies sleeping inside each of us.
And he uses that story, right, about his helicopter.
Yes, that's such a vivid illustration. Flying his helicopter over the very building where he once worked as a janitor.
It really encapsulates that potential for dramatic change, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it shows the scale of transformation that's possible when you tap into those inner resources.
And the impact wasn't just theoretical. You mentioned that seminar.
Oh, yeah, the seminar story is incredible. They expected maybe 2,000 people.
And 7,000 showed up.
7,000.
Yeah.
And the stories from people there, they were just astounding.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, there was a kid taken off Ritalin, then labeled a genius, someone overcoming a serious cocaine addiction.
Wow.
Marriages saved, salespeople dramatically increasing their income, huge corporate revenue growth, significant weight loss.
It really demonstrates the potential when these ideas are actually applied.
It really does. And a key concept he brings up is the concentration of power.
Okay, what does that entail exactly?
It's the idea of focusing your resources, your time, energy, attention intensely on mastering just one single area.
Like a laser beam kind of focus?
Precisely.
Right.
He presents it as key to breaking through limitations, achieving those big breakthroughs. And he also talks about the questions that drove his own work. What really makes the difference in people's lives?
Why do some succeed against the odds while others with, every advantage seem to struggle?
Exactly. And what creates that passionate, grateful kind of life? It's these deep questions he's exploring.
And underlying it all is this belief that everyone has some unique gift, some talent waiting.
Yes, waiting to be tapped into. And you see the breadth of his work. He's worked with Congress members, CEOs, top athletes.
But also people with severe phobias, really diverse groups.
It highlights the universal nature of these principles. The book itself is positioned as a wake-up call.
A call to harness that innate power for lasting change.
Right. Because as Robbins points out, many people just kind of drift through life without consciously directing their focus or energy.
He mentions that statistic, too, about people buying books.
Yeah, that less than 10% actually read past the first chapter.
So, by engaging with this deep dive, you, the listener, are already showing that you're in that group that takes action.
Yeah, definitely. You're demonstrating that commitment to learning and growth.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics. He talks about 3 elementary principles of change. What's the first one?
The first, and it's crucial, is raise your standards.
Raise your standards. What does that look like in practice?
It's about consciously deciding what you will absolutely no longer accept, what you won't tolerate anymore in your life or in yourself.
And also defining what you do aspire to become.
Exactly. Setting that higher level of quality you demand for yourself. It's a fundamental shift in your internal expectations.
And he uses historical figures to illustrate this, right?
Powerfully so. He mentions people like Da Vinci, Lincoln, Helen Keller, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks.
Einstein, Cesar Chavez, Soichiro Honda.
Yeah. All individuals who dramatically raise the standards in their fields, and often for humanity itself.
Their lives really show the power of refusing to settle, of aiming for those highest ideals.
Absolutely. It's about that refusal to accept mediocrity.
Okay, so step 1, raise your standards. What comes next?
The second principle is change your limiting beliefs.
The beliefs. This seems critical.
It really is. Robbins argues that raising standards sets the direction, but your beliefs determine if you actually think you can get there.
So you might want something, but if you don't believe it's possible for you.
Exactly. He calls beliefs unquestioned commands. They powerfully shape our thoughts, our actions, even our feelings.
It's like if you aim high but deep down believe you'll fail, that belief can sabotage everything.
Precisely. It's like trying to drive with the handbrake on, as you hinted at earlier.
Yeah.
He uses Gandhi's belief in nonviolent opposition as an example. That deep conviction fueled incredible action and results.
So beliefs act like filters for reality and potential.
Right. Identifying and then actually transforming those limiting beliefs is absolutely essential for lasting change.
Makes sense. And the third principle?
The third principle is change your strategy.
Okay, so standards are up, limiting beliefs are challenged. Now you need the how.
Exactly. Even with high standards and empowering beliefs, you still need effective strategies to actually get the results.
The methods, the approaches.
Yes. You need the best ways to make those commitments real. And Robbins positions his book, Awaken the Giant Within, as a source for those very strategies.
Providing the how-to.
Right. His argument is, if you truly raise your standards and genuinely believe you can meet them, you will find or create the right strategies. You'll find a way.
So, to recap, raise standards, change limiting beliefs, change strategy. Those are the foundations.
Those are the three core pillars of change in his model.
Now, the book also goes into 5 key areas of life mastery. Could you walk us through those?
Sure. He identifies 5 domains he sees as most critical for overall quality of life. The first is emotional mastery.
Emotional mastery. Why does he start there?
Well, his argument is that managing your emotions effectively is fundamental to everything else. Think about why we want most things.
It usually comes down to how we think achieving it will make us feel.
Precisely. But despite how crucial emotions are, most of us get very little training in how to manage them well.
Yeah, that's true.
Robbins points at things like high drug use, spending on alcohol, antidepressants, suggesting we often look for external fixes for internal states.
Instead of developing real mastery over our emotions.
Right. So emotional mastery here is about understanding your triggers, consciously choosing empowering emotions, and navigating the difficult ones.
Okay, that makes sense as a foundation. What's the second area?
Second is physical mastery.
Health and vitality.
Yes. He asks that simple but profound question. What good are achievements if you don't have the health and energy to enjoy them?
It's the bedrock, really.
It is. Without physical well-being, your capacity for everything else is diminished.
Easily overlooked sometimes in the hustle, but fundamental. What's the third area?
Third is relationship mastery.
How we connect with others.
Exactly. Robbins sees relationships as a vital resource for growth, for contribution. Mastering this area, he believes, unlocks access to almost every other resource you might need.
And provides that deep sense of connection and support.
Yes, strong, healthy relationships are foundational to overall well-being.
Okay, and the fourth area?
Fourth is financial mastery.
Money.
Yeah.
But he has a specific take on it, right? It's not just about getting rich.
No, not at all. He challenges the idea that just accumulating wealth leads to happiness.
So what's the focus?
It's about shifting your beliefs about money, seeing it as a tool, a means for contribution, rather than the ultimate goal itself.
Moving away from scarcity, maybe, and towards using it purposefully.
Exactly. He mentions sobering statistics about people's financial state later in life, urging a more conscious, empowered approach to finances.
Okay, got it. And the fifth and final area?
The fifth is time mastery.
Which sounds like more than just managing your calendar.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
It's about your fundamental perception of time and learning how to make it work for you, not against you.
How so?
He talks about avoiding the trap of short-term gratification that leads to long-term pain.
Like wanting results now.
Right. It's about making decisions, managing that desire for instant results, and allowing things the time they need to actually grow and come to fruition.
He mentions that we often overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term.
Precisely. We overestimate what we can do in a year, maybe, but drastically underestimate what's possible in a decade with consistent, focused effort.
So these 5 areas, emotional, physical, relationship, financial, and time mastery, they all work together.
Absolutely. They're interconnected. And mastery isn't an endpoint. It's an ongoing process of learning, growing, refining.
And the book is meant as an action guide for that.
Yes, to help you consistently improve your quality of life and enjoy the journey more.
Okay, now, one of the most, powerful sections seems to be about the power of decisions. He calls decisions the pathway to power.
Yes, this is absolutely central to his philosophy. His core idea is that everything in your life right now, the good and the bad, stems from decisions you've made.
Or maybe decisions you haven't made.
That too. He strongly believes your destiny isn't passive. It's actively shaped in those moments you make a real decision.
He uses that exercise thinking back to around 1980.
Right, to get you to reflect on the passage of time and the cumulative effect of your choices since then. It helps you see how your decisions have steered your life.
It's a way to really grasp the impact of choices over time.
Definitely. And then he shares his own story. That huge personal transformation after making one key decision.
The confidence, weight loss, finding his wife, income growth, the Del Mar Castle.
It's a compelling example of just how profoundly a single, committed decision can change everything.
And he makes a distinction, doesn't he, between being interested and being committed.
A crucial distinction. Interest is passive. It's liking the idea of something. Commitment is deciding you will do whatever it takes.
It dictates your behavior.
Yes, and it involves setting clear, non-negotiable standards for yourself and sticking to them.
He's also not big on excuses, calls them BS.
Belief system. His point is that the power of decision allows you to cut through any excuse and start changing things now.
He uses Łasza in Poland as an example of that individual power.
A great example of how one person's committed decisions can spark massive change. And he encourages you, the listener, to see that same power in yourself.
To make new decisions anytime. Career, health, relationships, emotions.
Any area.
Yeah.
He mentions Gandhi, JFK, MLK, Rosa Parks, Ed Roberts. People whose decisions literally changed history.
And his point is, once you make that true commitment, the how starts to appear.
Often, yes. The path reveals itself. He looks at the word decision itself from Latin, from encadir, to cut.
To cut off other possibilities.
Exactly. A real decision means you're all in on one path, and action naturally flows from that.
He also encourages making decisions often, like exercising a muscle.
Yes, strengthen that decision-making muscle.
Yeah.
And critically, learn from every decision. Good outcome, bad outcome, there's always a lesson.
Okay. And he identifies 3 specific decisions that control destiny.
Yes. 1, what you choose to focus on consistently. 2, what things mean to you, how you interpret events. And 3, what you decide to do about it.
Focus, meaning action.
Those are the levers.
And he contrasts this with the Niagara Syndrome. What's that about?
That's his metaphor for just drifting through life, going with the flow, without consciously setting a direction.
Like being swept along by the current.
Right. Until you suddenly find yourself heading towards the falls, major problems, without a plan or the skills to change course.
So the message is, be intentional, decide your direction, don't just react.
Exactly. Take the wheel.
But what about the fear of making the wrong decision? That stops a lot of people.
He addresses that directly. Mistakes are part of learning. The key is to learn from them, adjust, and keep moving.
Sound judgment comes from experience.
And experience often comes from making decisions that didn't quite work out initially. It's a process.
Having role models helps here too, he says.
Immensely. You can learn from others' successes and failures, saving yourself time and pain.
And then he gives his ultimate success formula.
Right. 4 steps. 1, decide what you're committed to. 2, take massive action. 3, notice what's working and what isn't. 4, change your approach until you get what you want.
Simple, but powerful. He uses Soichiro Honda's story here too, right?
Yes, a fantastic example of sheer commitment despite unbelievable setbacks, rejection, war, earthquakes, money problems. He just kept going.
It shows that level of unwavering resolve. He also mentions famous books getting rejected initially.
Yeah, like Gone with the Wind, Dune, Zen, and The Art of Motorcycle Maintenance reminds us that initial rejection doesn't mean something lacks value. Persevere.
He also warns about short-term focus causing long-term problems.
Yes, using examples from personal habits right up to things like the SNL crisis or the Exxon Valdez spill.
Shows how focusing only on the immediate can lead to disaster down the road.
It really underscores the need for a longer-term vision in our decisions. He shares that story about Billy Joel, too.
Overcoming a really low point by consciously changing his decisions.
Demonstrating that even when things seem bleak, you still have the power to choose a different path.
Okay, so to wrap up the decision chapter, he offers 6 keys to harnessing this power.
Yes, 6 key takeaways. 1, remember the power of decision. Always.
2,
Realize the hardest step is making that true commitment. That's the real hurdle.
3, make decisions often, don't procrastinate.
4, learn from every single one, good or bad.
5, stay committed to the end goal, but flexible in your approach.
And 6, enjoy the process. Making decisions is taking control of your life.
He shares some personal stories, too, about how small decisions led to big things for him.
Yeah, meeting his wife, writing his first book, finding his agent, learning from a bad partnership. It reinforces that core message.
Destiny is determined by decisions, not conditions.
That's the essence of it. It's incredibly empowering.
And he ends that chapter with a direct challenge, doesn't he?
He does. Make one easy decision you've been putting off right now, and make one harder one too.
Just to prove to yourself that you can take control through choice.
Exactly. It's about immediate action to anchor the learning.
Wow. This has been a really thorough deep dive into the core ideas of Awaken the Giant Within. We've covered unleashing inner power, the 3 principles of change, the 5 areas of mastery, and this huge emphasis on the power of decision.
It really is a book designed to empower you to take deliberate control, understand what drives you, and give you a practical framework for positive change.
It definitely feels like a call to action.
It absolutely is.
So if you're feeling inspired by this and want to go deeper to really start applying these ideas,
Then definitely grab a copy of Awaken the Giant Within.
we've put a link right in the description for you. And if you found this deep dive valuable,
Please subscribe to Books and Bytes for more discussions like this.
and maybe leave you with this thought. What's one significant decision you've been avoiding?
Just one. What if you made it today with real commitment? How could that change your path forward?
Remember, that power to shape your destiny really does lie in your decisions. Grab a copy of the book from the link in the description and subscribe to Books and Bytes.